We had students that, the Langell family, for example, that came into our CB school from Ribbon Creek. And we also had students come in from the tiny, tiny community of Ozada, which is on the Morley Flats, that also came into the CB school from one time to another.
I remember going up to Ribbon Creek as a school field trip when the Langells lived there.
Mm-hmm. Remember the
Yep.
potbelly stove in the middle of the school?
Yeah.
I remember that as well.
And we were talking earlier that when you guys were going to school, there was an outhouse.
There was
Oh,
no
yes.
running
There
water.
was no running water.
No running
in
water in the
school.
school. So the ladies and the men, or the boys and the girls, outhouses were directly behind the school, adjacent to the ball diamond. And there was this big lattice fence that totally enclosed the individual outhouses.
Yeah.
Painted green, as I
was
recall.
green. I remember it
very,
being green.
Very TransAlta, Calgary Power green. And then I can't remember whether the plumbing was installed before I left in grade 9 or whether that came after.
Yeah, and
Yes,
it
I
was
think it
there. I
must
mean,
have-
in my mind, it was just always
Because
always
before
there.
I left, they had the running water. Because I
Yeah.
remember when we first went, we had a crock urn at the back of the school for the water.
That's right.
But I think by the time I finished, we must have had running water.
I think so too,
I
Marilyn.
think so, yeah. And I think the bathrooms were there by the time I finished school.
So
Yeah.
it sort of evolved. So I'm guessing originally it was just kind of one long thing with the classroom and the hall, and then the little entryway and bathrooms were probably added at the time. They
front.
put at
The
the
little-
front.
They were added
yes.
at
What we
front.
called the cloakroom, was that there originally?
Yes,
or was
that was
would have
there.
it would have
That
been
was
part of that.
original,
Yes,
yeah.
because it was.
Yep, that was
Yeah.
there originally. And then there was a big long bench in there as well. And I think that's where the ladies used to make
Oh,
the
they
sandwiches
did
and
have-
everything.
you're right.
Perhaps, yes.
The
Yeah.
original cloakroom.
Yeah.
And then I think the renovations included a building of a permanent stage in the hall part of it.
Yeah.
Because at one time, when we had Christmas concerts, the Mr. Northcott, the carpenter, used to come and
They used
I think
to
Uncle
erect-
Sam used to
yeah.
help him. They'd build a
George
beautiful,
Cole.
and George Cole, beautiful stage
Mm-hmm.
in the little one-room hall so that we all had a stage to stand on when we were performing during the Christmas concert.
And they had
And I
curtain
think
put
the
up, too.
permanent stage kind of went in at the same time they added the kitchen.
Yes,
So
I
that
think
backstage became
Yep.
The
part of
kitchen
the
area.
kitchen, or was with the kitchen area.
And the
that-
bathrooms were before they
Yes,
added
yes,
that.
yeah. And we even had electric curtains on that stage. Do you
That-
remember that? You had to push that little button to open the curtains.
Well, I
and-
remember that, but I was through school by then.
Me too.
It was all the portable
Yeah.
Ball diamond, ball games.
That was an ongoing thing when I was a student at the school.
In the school grounds, we
Yes,
used to play.
and we would pick teams at the beginning of the week, and every recess, and if we had time even at lunch, you rushed back after you had gone home for lunch and played baseball, and the score accumulated over the whole week, and that's how you determined the score at the end of a game. But that was a big thing. I don't think there were very many children who grew up in CB through my time anyway, who didn't know how to play.
Well, and for our
Ball.
phys ed, Mr. Davidson would take us out in the afternoon and
Yeah.
we'd play baseball or dodgeball or whatever. That was our phys ed.
We didn't call it baseball when I was playing because there weren't enough people all one age. So, there was only
No.
two people in, two students in my classroom, Jerry Madsen and myself. My brother is a year younger. There was 3 students his age.
There was
But
4.
we would organize a game we called Scrub all the time.
Okay.
And my brother, I know, would not let me pitch or catch, so I could play outfield. I could play third, second, first base. Then I had to go back out to field until it was my turn to bat, and then I was back out in the field again. That was Scrub because there were so many different age groups of
Yes.
students
Well,
play.
it still was that way
Yeah.
when I was going
Yeah,
to school
it
too.
was.
So the teams got picked so that there was an even number of kids of all different ages on each
yeah.
team, yeah.
Yeah, that came, I
You
guess
know-
that came later.
And the beautiful ball diamond that they had in the end was after we were all done.
We'd
there.
all gone.
Yeah, that was something that I experienced when I
Later
was
on.
married
Yes.
and back there. And it became another sort of center
It did.
of things for the community during ball season.
Lots of
And
tournaments.
there was a fastball league in the valley, so there was a team from Seavey and a
Mm-hmm.
team from Exshaw and a team from Canmore.
Two or
Several
three
teams.
teams.
Yes,
Two or three
that's
teams
where
from
it's from
Canmore.
Canmore.
Yeah.
Because it was quite a group, and they played pretty regularly. Of course, you
Mm-hmm.
traveled to the other places for some of the games as well. The ball diamond, where it was in the middle of a poplar forest. And it was actually Roy Cummings and some of those people who decided they wanted a good ball diamond. And it was a real effort because it meant clearing all of those poplars out of there and then getting some good dirt
Organizing
in
the
for grass
water,
and then,
irrigation.
yeah, so they had to have irrigation in there. So it was a pretty big undertaking,
I
but
think-
it was a beautiful ball diamond.
I think it was
had-
noted for being a beautiful
Yes,
ball
It
diamond.
was.
it had a
It was
really
like
good reputation.
Highly acclaimed, yeah.
And people love to come out there for big ball tournaments and
I think
things like
September
that,
long
too.
weekend was a big ball tournament at CB always.
It was, Roy Cummings was the one that initiated, but his son Terry was very active
Yes.
in supporting that. And Terry still works for
For TransAlta.
TransAlta. But coming back to earlier to some of the games that we played as little people at the school, I was thinking about the throwing the ball over the roof of the school.
Anti-eye over.
Anti-eye over, and then we played run, sheep, run.
Fox and geese in the
Fox and geese in the
wintertime.
winter. yeah.
And
Yeah.
red light, green light.
Simon Says.
Simon Says.
We used to play a lot of marbles.
Marbles and hopscotch.
And Jacks.
Yeah.
So lots of,
And I think the whole ambiance of that CB school was very critical in inspiring many of us that had gone to school to go on to universities or to technical schools, and
And a lot of people that went to school there did that.
did
Yes.
that. Nursing, you're
Yeah.
a nurse,
Yeah.
Marilyn.
And some
You went to
engineers.
SAIT?
and,
I went to SAIT,
Yeah.
yeah.
I went to university, and my brother's a chemical engineering prof at university, and your brother's
An
a
engineer.
engineer.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so it was a very closely knit community, but very high expectations for those of us that were there.
Mr. Davidson did a good job.
Mhm.